रिकॉर्डिंग पे हो गया। चलो, आज की क्लास में क्या है, VMM डोमेन है जो वर्चुअल मशीन है, वर्चुअलाइजेशन। तो बिफोर गोइंग दैट वन, आपको डू यू नो अबाउट लाइक हाइपरवाइजर which is also known as ES6i, and do you know about the vCenter server, anything? So you don't know anything, right?
No idea.
So right, so before going to that VMM domain, we will learn what is virtualization first. So in virtualization, so what happens is like, this is my physical server, so who has 4 line cards. For example, it can be many or it can be 1, 2, anything, but for now I'm taking one physical server. Nothing has been installed, it's like a brand new, but on top of that I can install operating system, whether it can be Windows, anything, but I'm not installing anything. I directly install what? Hypervisor. I will install ES6i directly on that one, and for example, the configuration of the server is like 250 GB of RAM and 4 TB of hard disk and 10 core means 20 virtual CPUs. This is the configuration of the server. So now, one ES6i is totally consuming this all resources, and top of that I can run many virtual machines. This can be Windows 10, and this can be Windows Server, this can be Linux, any application, this can be any application. So multiple servers I can, multiple application, VMwares, VM machines I can run on this particular server. So it's like only one server, but you are running different applications. So before, what was happening, like if you want to run Windows 10, you need to have a separate machine, Windows Server separate machine, then for your application separate machine. But now only on one machine you can run multiple things. So that is virtualization. Virtually you are running everything. So now this is how you are running in this one, and I am having here only 4 line cards. So what I will say, that by default when you install hypervisor, you have VM kernel switch created for management. So all the management, so it's like when I type like HTTP IP address of the hypervisor, that is the management traffic. And again, VM network, this is for the virtual machines. So whatever the VMs you install, they will use this port. So now I have 4 line cards. So what I will say, that for line card 1, you go for VM kernel. I will assign it for management traffic, and I can assign like line card 2 for VM network, and I can create one more switch with one more port group like VM1, and I can assign line card 2 for that, and then again line card 4 for VM2 or vMotion for high availability. So I can manage the traffic and I can shape the traffic. All right, shape the traffic. Now this is with respect to only one hypervisor with one machine. What if I want to install multiple then? So what I will do, again same, I will take one. We have our Windows machine, right?
One.
So for your Windows machine, you will have only one port. And top of that, you will install Windows 10 or Windows Server, anything. And top of that, you will install your hypervisor.
Okay.
Now this hypervisor is now virtually located. So now what happens is like, there is only one port, but I can assign multiple line cards for hypervisor. So this port is only one, that is respect to the machine, but for the respect to the hypervisor, I can assign hypervisor many adapters. So these adapters can be many things, any you want to assign 8, 16, 50, anything, up to you. So these are all virtually located. So these are all virtual NIC adapters. So this will be
Okay.
located here only on the hypervisor, and it will be connected to one switch, and that switch will be connected to the your one and only one port. So now logically what is happening here is that you have created these many adapters. And these
Yes.
many adapters, it's totally connecting to only one switch, background. It will be only one switch. That switch will be connected to your physical NIC. And here what you will do
Okay.
inside is that this is allocated for VM kernel. So this will be here for the one NIC here, and these two will be allocated for one port, and these two will be allocated to one port.
One.
And again another switch. This all will be connected to this switch. And by default, this port cannot communicate with this port cannot communicate with this port. So if you want to make communication, then this is your
All three of them.
Sorry?
Nothing.
If you have doubt, go ahead. Because if you do not understand, you cannot do like
No, it's okay.
virtualization. No, if I want to communicate these two machines.
No, what I was saying that three of them will not communicate, right?
Sorry? I did not get you.
All three of them will not communicate, right?
Yes, by default.
These three of them will not communicate with. Yeah.
Yes, these three will not communicate. If you want to communicate with between these groups, then you have to assign one virtual machine this adapter, and the same machine also have to type another adapter. So that's what I'm showing now. So this is my virtual machine. So I'm
Okay.
adapting to VM network. This is the default one, okay? And I have also created VM1. So I will attach that VM1 here. So now again coming to virtual machine 2, I will say here VM1. Then again I can assign VM1 or VM2, anything. But the common thing is that VM1 adapter. So that is how you have to make the communication between two port groups. So now this was with respect to only one server with one hypervisor with multiple cards and one. What if I have multiple ESXis? So same, this is my server. Again, I might have only one port here.
Okay.
And this is my Windows 10. Now I have installed one ESXi, two ESXi, three. So they are one ESXi, two ESXi, three. Now I have three ESXi. Now you have seen that how the traffic shaping will be doing in one ESXi. So now I also have here 8 NICs, here also 8 NICs, and here also 8 NICs. So if I want to manage these ones, so I have to log in into this one manually. So I cannot manage one by like all at one place. So I have to log in manually in different ESXi, and I have to go and do the shaping of the traffic. So now to manage everything at one place, so we have something called as vCenter server. So now in vCenter server we have to
vCenter server.
Yeah. So in vCenter server we have to like vCenter appliance, that is for the Linux, and we have vCenter server for Windows. Both will be ISO files, but in Linux you will also have the OVF file.
Okay.
So OVF file is an open virtualization. So now we have seen about the ESXi, how it works, but let's see what are the requirements of the vCenter and how it works and how we can install it. So for first, the requirements of the vCenter. If you are installing the vCenter appliance, in vCenter appliance, you need minimum for tiny 2 virtual CPUs, 10 GB of RAM, 250 GB of hard disk. But this 250 GB now become like 450 now. This is the latest in vCenter Server 7.0. So until 6.7 it was like 250, but now it has been increased to 450 in vCenter 7.0. So now you have tiny, small, medium and large. So according to that you have all the requirements in this one. So now this was respect to the requirements. Now how it will be installed, where it will be installed. So this is my server. I have installed Windows here and I have installed the ESXi. So if I want to install this appliance will be installed directly on hypervisor. So in this so whenever I open this ISO file in Windows, I will run this. When I open that unmount, when I unmount the ISO file, I can see something called as autorun installer.
Okay.
So when I click on that one, it will ask me start the stage 1. When it starts the stage 1, it will ask me from where do you want me to install the vCenter server, in which ESXi. So I will provide the IP address of the ESXi and I will say username and password. Once these 3 things have been given, it will contact the hypervisor and it will look for the requirements. His requirement is like 2 virtual CPUs with 10 GB of RAM and at least 250 GB. So when I go in stage 1, I will say that I want to install in thin provision. So thin provision means according to demand you expand the hard disk. So according to demand, expand storage. So it will look into your thin provision. So minimum it will be looking for 100 GB of hard disk. Minimum. So when this when it confirms this one, it will start stage 1. So in the stage 1, it will look for the requirements and it will make a base here. Okay, right. I am able to install now. So it will install. After that, it will run the stage 2, and again it will complete. So this is with respect to the vCenter appliance. This is how it will be installed. So we don't need another server or nothing. We do not need any operating system. It will be installed on the ESXi like a virtual machine. So in the hypervisor, you will be installing different virtual machines. So in that one of them will be vCenter. So, or whatever the name you have given, the name that will be. So it will be running as a virtual machine inside the hypervisor. So that is the appliance. Now coming to the installation of Windows, vCenter installation on Windows. So before installing vCenter, you need Active Directory domain. So for example, I have installed a Windows Server 2016 and the domain name is like sysable.com.au. And after installing this domain, I will install another server 2016 here. And I will make a member of this one.
Okay.
For this PC, I have given, for example, like vCenter. So the domain name will become as a vCenter sysable.com.au. So this will become the name of the system, and the record will be created on the AD. So whenever you install unmount the ISO file and run the autorun install, first it will check for the domain, then it will check for the name resolution, FQDN, then again it will ask for the ESXi. Before, when you install, at least you need one ESXi to provide that. Yes, I do have one ESXi. So when you provide that ESXi details, then it will install on operating system, server operating system. So the requirement for this one is 2 virtual CPUs with 8 GB of RAM and 100 GB of hard disk. But it will be installed on server. So once the installation has been done, so you can run this, you can connect to this server by any of your PCs or anything, and you can just say that HTTPS. So here you won't be running for ESXi, you will be running HTTP IP address, but for this vCenter server you will be running HTTPS IP address. So now once you install this once you install this vCenter server, next thing is that how to add the host. So whenever I install vCenter server, first it will ask me to define a data center. I can define many, like any name. I can give DC1, DC2, DC3, anything. I can make many of them. So what I will say, I will make at least one data center, minimum requirement. Then after that I will add the host. Host means ESXi. So previously we saw that we have one server, operating system and multiple ESXi. Now we will start adding. I have defined DC1 and I will say that ESXi1 and ESXi2, I will add this one. For example, I will say data center 2 and I will add ESXi3, ESXi4. So how many ESXi I want to group it? I can group it in data center and I can add it accordingly. So if I want ESXi4 to be added in this one, so I will remove from here and I will add it here. So now this is like you have added your ESXi. Okay, that's good. That's a good thing. Like you are able to see in one place. So this is my data center. This is my ESXi1, ESXi2, ESXi3. So now I can see everything in one place, and what all the VMs have been installed, I can see in one place. So everything in one place. Now next thing is that I want to do the traffic shaping. Main thing is that traffic shaping. So now in ESXi we saw that different line cards you have. So in each of the ESXi I have 8 line cards, for example. So now I want to do the traffic shaping. So but from here you cannot do the traffic shaping for individually ESXi. So now here comes into the picture is that virtual distribution switch, VDS, or distribution virtual switch, anything distributed virtual switch. So it might be virtual distribution or it might be distributed virtual switch, anything. It can be any both of them are same, whether it might be VDS or DVS, both of them are okay. So now what does this do? So this distribution switch, what it will do is like whenever you install this one VDS, this is a distributed switch with respect to vCenter. So these guys will have the different switches like VM network, okay, and VM kernel. But when you create a virtual DS distributed switch, this one is respect to vCenter now. This one is with respect to vCenter. Now the vCenter is the head, everything is added inside it. So vCenter, in this one we will create the switch and we will create a different port groups here now. Now after creating the port groups, what we can do is like in ESXi1 I have 2 VMs. I want one of the VM to go with this one and one of the VM, so I can individually, with respect to not with respect to only ESXi, with respect to the virtual machine, I can assign the port groups, and individually it will do the traffic shaping. And once this virtual switch have been assigned to VM or this one, your ESXi will be having VM kernel and VM network, these two switches won't work anymore. That's it. So now everything will be controlled with the vCenter switch. So ESXi will be having these two switches. It won't work anymore now. So this one will work, but because this is with respect to management only, so this will work, but not these port groups. So what all the port groups you have created, nothing will work now, because we are unplugging from this one and we are plugging our virtual machine to this port group. So it's like in a environment of your production is like you have a switch, everything is connected, and you want this system to be connected on this different network, then you remove that one and you just plug it into different switch. That's all. The same thing we are doing here. So we are removing from the port groups, from the switches of the ESXi, we are plugging into virtual distributed switch of the vCenter server. So now the traffic will be controlled from one place and with only one operating system, that is with one server, vCenter server. So now the vCenter server is like controlling the multiple ESXi host as well as controlling the VMs of that host. So you're even controlling the ESXi traffic, VMware traffic, via virtual machine traffic. So everything will be controlled. But you have one more problem, license. So you have to be careful with the license, because if you are taking like a vCenter server as an enterprise license, then ESXi also should have the enterprise ones. If it's standard, then standard. If it's essential, then it's essential. So both of them should be same. vCenter server and ESXi, both of them should have same license. If it's standard, or essential, or enterprise, or enterprise plus. So we have to be careful with that one. So if you are installing any vCenter server, assigning the license enterprise plus, and you have the ESXi with standard, it is not able to add into this virtual machine vCenter server.
Okay.
Coming to the ACI, what is with respect to the ACI now? So this is our spine now. So this is our leaf now. And this is also our leaf now. And this is our ACI. This is connected like this. And for example, we have here one server. In that server, you have installed your vCenter server. And in that vCenter server, you have multiple ESXi hosts. Again, you have given the port as the same CDP policy protocol running, and when you create the AAEP, in that you define you have your policy group. In that policy group, you define all the policies. After defining policies, you have something called as AAEP. In that AAEP, when it was physical, you have defined physical, but now we have virtual domain. So you won't define any domain. The virtual domain will be allocated differently. And after defining this virtual domain, we will attach this domain to the AAEP later on. So now, before we go into that one, let's look what actually is happening here now. So now, here is the vCenter. Now here I have for example, I have only one ESXi and have like different VMs here. So as I said that vCenter, when you create VDS, right? So this switch can be created locally, but in ACI, what we will do, we will create a switch here, virtual distributed switch. So when you are creating this virtual domain, you will give the location of your vCenter server. So you're saying to your ACI that this is the location. Locations in a sense IP address. Then again, you are giving that what is the name.
Yeah.
And again, you are giving that what is a data center name. So what are the data, any data center like DC you have defined, you have to provide the same name, and it is a case sensitive. So you have to be careful with that. So next you will be defining your credentials. So in that credentials, you will provide your username and password. So now how this one works like. So first what I will do, I will create a profile saying that it is a credentials profile. In that credential profile, I will provide username and IP address for the vCenter. Then after that, I will create another profile. In that one, I will define the IP address, and I will define what kind of switch you want to push. I want to push virtual distributor switch, and what you want to do. And then I will call these credentials here. I will say these are the credentials. This is a virtual distributor switch I want to push. This is the IP address of that virtual vCenter server. So once you provide this one, what happens is like it will push this virtual distributor switch. For example, instead of VDS, what we'll give is that we give as a name like ACI VDS. This is the name of my switch. So this switch will be pushed to vCenter server. So what ACI will do, ACI will have the connectivity to vCenter. It will logged into vCenter server, and it will say to vCenter server, Mike, from here after I will be controlling you. So this is the switch I am giving to you. So please keep it ACI VDS. So I will push the configuration, any configuration which you get from me, just do it on this one. So you don't do it on different switches. You will only do for this switch. So now once I push the switch here, then again next I will create the EPGs, right? Endpoint group. When I create this endpoint group, for example, it might be web EPG. So this will pushed into this switch as a port group. So here I will have a port group called as web EPG. So now this web EPG has been assigned. So we have a switch already here with ACI, and after that we have one port group inside that web EPG that is ready to be connected. So it's like one switch is ready, which is ready to be connected. So next I will create one more EPG with app EPG. So again in ACI another port group will be created, app EPG. So now I have my different ESXi's in vCenter. In that we have different VMs. Now I can allocate these VMs now to web EPG. I can change the port group of this one virtual machine. I will say to this virtual machine, Mac, you want to communicate, you are assigned to this switch, this port group. So now you are no longer with vCenter server switch or ESXi switch. You are now a part of ACI virtual distributed switch. So your communication will work from hereafter from this switch port. So again I will say to this VM also, Mike, this is your switch port. Your communication will start from here. So this is how you will be, your tunnel has been created, everything will be created. So if you want to, what are the policies have been assigned to you, for according to those policies you are able to communicate, otherwise you are not able to communicate. So I am limiting here, limiting the access, and I am doing the traffic shaping, but my ACI is here and my server is somewhere else. So now got the point?
Yeah.
So this is like a software defined networking. So where we are just sitting at one place, we are making a configuration, we are pushing the configuration, and we are making this VM to communicate with different servers and different applications. All good with that?